It's episode 91 of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast, Google Analytics, acquisition and behaviour.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hello everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of our Google Analytics episode. I didn't think I'd be able to talk for this long about Google Analytics, but there is a treasure trove of information that I think is really important that people get a really good understanding about, because this is part of the recipe for the secret sauce of marketing, getting that really good information about who it is that your customers are and what it is that they need. Last week we covered off on the homepage, real-time audience. We're going to be looking now at acquisition, and I think that this is some really interesting information that you can find. It gives you a really big insight into the kind of things that people are searching for and finding you or not finding you for, and that can be really important. So moving right along, the next one that you want to sort of look at is acquisition, and this is a really important one. So this is going to give you your breakdowns of traffic. So organic search, direct, referral, social, and email. It then gives you the things like bounce rate, pages per session, session duration. So just having a look at bounce rate. So the search bounce rate is higher than the email bounce rate. So people who have clicked on an email are going to the website. They are then having a look at that second or third page. And that's because of the fact that they're much more engaged with your brand. They're so engaged that they were prepared to give you an email address, whether it was through a booking, through an order, whether they signed up for a birthday club, whatever the reason they gave you that email, they're more engaged with your brand, which is why you would see a lower bounce rate. Now that we're talking about acquisition, it's probably time to start talking about URL parameters. Now we're starting to get into the dark arts here. One of the things that we do all the time is make sure that the activities that we're doing are correctly tagged. And this is really important. If you're running 4 Facebook campaigns at once, and we do that, so we might target vegetarian, travelers, tequila, and gluten-free, and a birthday campaign. So there's 5. We might be running those 5 campaigns. If you don't do any tagging, then you're going to say, well, Facebook is sending us a lot of traffic. Now, you've got to go back into Facebook and start working out which ad is sending the click-throughs. And you know what? My thing is, I don't trust any of these sort of platforms. The numbers that you see, they tend to be a little bit wonky at times. So what I like to do is I try and keep as best track as possible as it. If you're only running one Facebook campaign, then you know what? You can probably rely on that to know, well, it's this campaign. But I like to run a few more. And the other thing is you want to go back over time. So a year ago, what campaign were you running last May? Who knows? If it is tagged as being a vegetarian campaign, so vegetarian pizza, then you're going to know, oh, that's right. That's when we did the vegetarian pizza. We took a photo of it and we ran that campaign. That was how much traffic and because in Google, you'll be able to go in and have a look at those campaigns. So the big thing that you want to do is use the Google Campaign URL Builder. And we'll include a link in the show notes. And so what you'll do is it's got a whole heap of blank boxes in there. And what you do is you'll put in the website URL. Now, this isn't going to be, myrestaurant.com. It's going to be the page that you want to drive people to. So it might be myrestaurant.com/vegetarian. So whatever the landing page that you're going to drive people to. Now, the next thing is campaign source. So you might be running a Google AdWords campaign. So you might put in AdWords there. It might be email. There's then campaign medium, which we don't actually use that much. You can put in things like, CPC, so cost per click, banner, email. The campaign name, this is a big one that I like to put in there. So we might run vegetarian pizza. So this is the campaign that we are running. You can then have a campaign term, and you can use that to identify paid keywords, or a campaign content. So if you're running 5 ads, let's just say that we were really keen to drive our vegetarian pizza. So we're going to run a campaign around vegetarian pizza, and we're then going to, have we've got 3 different pizzas that we're running. We're going to have 3 different pictures that we're going to have in our ad. You would then put each one of those in there. You create a specific URL for each of them. From there, you would use that URL. So rather than just using myrestaurant.com/vegetarian or vegetarian pizza, this will create a URL for you, and it's going to look like this. So I've just created one. I've got the website URL in there. The campaign source I'm going to put as Facebook. This URL is going to be used in Facebook. The campaign name is Veggie Pizza, and the campaign content is eggplant. So I've got myrestaurant.com/UTM source equals Facebook, and UTM_campaign equals Veggie Pizza, and UTM_content equals eggplant. Now, if on my website I've created a page, and if you should be using something like WordPress because that's the easiest and quickest to do this sort of thing in, you can then you can install the featured image, and we're going to have that featured image as the eggplant one. Have that as the featured image. We then take this page and we put that into Facebook. And what Facebook's going to do is it's going to then store that URL. It's then going to drag that feature image from the page and put that as the image in the page. Now, I love running these campaigns because as soon as someone clicks on the photo, it's going to drag them straight into your page. So rather than clicking on the image and bringing up the image, which then people can tag people in or do whatever they want to do with the image in Facebook, it's actually going to drive them directly into your page. This is a great way of increasing the number of people who go to your website. On top of that, it's a great way of building your Facebook audience, because if you've got the Facebook pixel on your website, then that's a pixeled person because they're already in Facebook. We know that because the source is Facebook. And when that person clicks that image, you're going to see in Google Analytics a click that's registered against that campaign. Now, that can be really cool, particularly when you are driving people to make a booking or to order online, because that's money. You might be sending out an email that's generating all of that money. You can actually see how many orders or bookings you're getting from that, and I think that's really cool. So that's channels. There's an AdWords tab there in case you're doing AdWords. The next one down that I think is really interesting is the Search Console, and that will tell you your landing pages. Landing pages rank by the number of people who are seeing the page come up as an impression when a Google search has been done. This is really cool. It's got a list of all of the URLs for the website. So the URL, each one of those is a separate page on the website. Next to it, it's got impressions. So this is how many times it was seen in a search. Now, next to that is the clicks. So this is the number of times that someone's clicked through. The column after that, CTR, that's click-through rate. So this is and we're starting to get into the really nitty-gritties of SEO here, because what you're starting to worry about is how does each page look in the search results. Now, it's probably worthwhile stopping and just thinking about who is going to be using Google to find your page. And there's 2 types of people who are looking for it. There's my favorite restaurant that I'm really familiar with and that I really love, and I just want their phone number. So I'm going to type that into Google now. So my favorite restaurant, whatever it is. And up comes my favorite restaurant, and there's the phone number. Okay, so I'm in and out. I've bounced off it. I'm just after the phone number. That's all I want. I know that restaurant. I'm a customer. I'm a repeat customer. I'm a loyal customer. And I just want some information about the restaurant. So that's one kind of person who's using Google. I've made a decision. I'm not looking to make a decision about a restaurant. There's the other person, and these are the ones who are so much more important that you really need to fight for. This group is the group whose problem is, where am I going to eat tonight? What is a good restaurant for a corporate event? Vegetarian restaurants near me. Best steak restaurant in my suburb. These are problems that people take to Google millions of times every day that you need to be fighting those battles for. So, what happens when someone Googles best vegetarian restaurant in suburb name? Now, I've just done a search for this, and so I'm looking at probably the first 20 results. Now, obviously, there's a few that come in on the map. That's an important space to be. Interesting. So I've done a search on a suburb. One of our customers has popped up, which is cool. They're not a vegetarian restaurant. The search is best vegetarian restaurant Frankston, and our customers come up. Their SEO is better than probably most of their competitors, and I don't think they target vegetarian. There's a couple of others in there. For the actual search results, you've got the top 10 best vegetarian restaurants in TripAdvisor, 10 best vegan restaurants in Frankston, TripAdvisor. We don't use those because of the fact that, they're a little bit dodgy, those reviews. There's a couple of the other review sites. There's Zomato. And then we start to get to the restaurants there. And so you start looking at the kind of information here. Now, there's one that's got, so the information that comes up, this is the text that's there. Now, remember, I'm looking for a vegetarian restaurant, and I'm looking at it, and it says about this, 4,120 people were here. We are a new cafe offering vegetarian and vegan food. Now, and the interesting thing is, so this is just a Facebook page. These guys haven't actually got a website, and that's why the next piece of information is Friday, 6:30, 10 p.m, UTC +10, Nature Cafe /bar, best choc peanut butter smoothie bowl a girl could ask for. It's all a bit random. It all doesn't really make sense, and that's because of the fact that it's actually been scraped from Facebook. Next one, fresh food that tastes amazing, tomato bruschetta, $10.80. So this is obviously the vegetarian menu page, not really telling us a story. There's another one that's basically just got their address, and it's a little while before we actually find someone who's telling a story about vegetarian. So what is happening here is that in Frankston, there's no one who, from an SEO point of view, is creating a story. Look, you've only got 3 lines to put some text in there. You haven't got a lot of space. But what you want to do is I'm looking for a vegetarian restaurant. Tell me why you're a great vegetarian restaurant. We've been cooking vegetarian food for the last 25 years. And, do you provide vegetarian options? Are you 100% vegetarian? We provide vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options. We're starting to tell a story. We're starting to get people to want to click through to investigate a bit more. This is just a page. The Google page, it's very white. There's blue, light green, and black. It's very hard to differentiate yourself. It's just that text that you're kind of looking for. This is the thing that leads to a high click-through rate. Now, the next thing that's really cool about this is average position. So where on the search terms, and so it doesn't tell you what people are searching for, but you've got each of the pages on your website, and it's got the numbers about how often they have appeared there. So this is really crucial. Now, if you've got a page that talks about vegetarian food and it's appearing very few times, then either your SEO is really bad or people aren't searching for it. Your click-through rate, that's really telling you how compelling the information is that's put up there. So that little snippet, that code snippet that you configure in WordPress, that's where it's starting to come in. In those 3 lines of text, are you telling a compelling story? Average position. So this is based on how likely does Google think that your page is going to answer what it is that people are looking for. Part of the process that we go through with marketing for restaurants is if we're doing vegetarian, if that's one of the niches that we're targeting, then we're going to have a tab that says, best vegetarian restaurant in Frankston. Then we're going to have a code snippet that talks about this is Frankston's best vegetarian restaurant. We've been cooking vegetarian food for a long time. We're solely vegetarian because we believe it's great for the planet. That is going to sell to people who are looking to a vegetarian restaurant. The next thing that we do then is we make sure that the on-page experience is great. So we will have a hero image of a vegetarian meal. And this is the image that we want people to look at and go, oh my God, that's it. Shut up. I'm going there. Where do I book? Take my money. You want to put the take my money thing there. People then, there'll be a link to the Book Now page. People are going to click through there. Then they're going to make a booking. That is happy days. Now, the important thing to remember is that if the user is on Chrome, then there'll be information will be sent back to Google about that. Oh, so this user in Chrome, they clicked through, they were looking for a vegetarian restaurant in Frankston. We sent them to this Frankston vegetarian restaurant. And then they looked at this page, then they went here, then they made a booking. You know what? Job done. That was a good result. Whatever this vegetarian restaurant's doing, they're probably doing more of that. They're probably doing a good job of it. What Google is now thinking is that next time someone looks for a vegetarian restaurant in Frankston, you know what? I'm probably going to serve them this one because this one looks like the answer. I'm pretty sure that this is the answer. That goes into the algorithm. That is part of what makes your on-page experience so important to Google and your Google rankings. One of the things that we get this all the time, a restaurant will say, oh, you know, we're struggling with our rankings in SEO. Google's not liking it. And when you look at it, they might have done the SEO right, but the actual page looks awful and they've done nothing to sell the customer. So what happens is they click through and then they look at it and go, oh, this is all garbage. And then they click back and Google goes, nah, not the answer. If they send you to a Frankston vegetarian restaurant page and they click back within 5 seconds, not the answer. So what's Google going to do? It's going to push you down the rankings. Sad, sad, sad times. Now, if you're targeting international, under Search Console, there's also a tab for countries. You may not be getting that much traffic from outside of your country, so you may not need to worry about that too much. Only really if you're a tourist destination or getting, you know, international PR, which is quite unlikely for most restaurants. Then, of course, devices. So it'll give you a breakdown of the information that we've been talking about: impressions, click-through rate, average position, sessions, bounce rate, pages per session, by device as well. So interesting, not only does it give you the numbers of people searching on mobile and desktop and tablet, but what is the click-through rate on mobile? Once again, starting to show the real importance of creating a good... And we see this, you know, this is why Google is so big on, is it mobile friendly and what is the page speed like? People on their mobile phone are very, very impatient. So if it's taking 5 seconds... If it's taking 5 seconds to render that page, people are going to go, no, I'm not going to go to this website. Or if they can't view the pictures properly, they're going to click back. This is why your average position may be lower on mobile than it is on desktop. For this one here, it's not, so that's pretty good. Queries, it'll tell you some of the search terms, but interestingly enough, so for the one I'm looking at now, 72% is other. So it's not really giving you too much information as regard to that. Next up, there's the social tab. So in the overview, it's going to give you the network and the percentage of traffic. This one, very similar to a lot of them, 94% Facebook, 3% Pinterest, a little bit from YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, very little. One of the problems with Instagram, it's so hard to get people out of Instagram. So that's interesting. Oh, look, there's even one from LinkedIn. One out of the thousands and thousands of social, just one. You can also break down your social traffic by landing page. You can have a look at conversions as well if you've got goals set up, and you can also have a look at user flow. All of those are quite interesting. Next thing though is campaigns, and campaigns is a really, really important one, I think. Up the top, it'll give you the flow of campaigns. And so this is a website that doesn't have campaigns running all the time, so minimal effect. Large database of emails. And you can see, so not all of their emails get tagged, so a lot of it goes in as direct for that. But we can see here a couple of campaigns and very, very spiky. So when they run an email campaign, they'll get a lot of traffic. And there's one campaign that got 1,500 visits to the website, multiple ones that are doing, you know, more than 500 visits. Really highlights the importance of making sure that it's tagged so that you can see which email is working and which one isn't. Also, the importance of building that email database, you know, and I keep saying this, your email database, there is gold in that email database. You want to be thinking about that. Paid keywords also is a campaign that you can look at. That's pretty much the main things. This now brings us to the behavior page. And there's lots of really, really interesting things here. It gives you some information, page views, unique page views. I like to look at site content. So you can go site content, all pages, and this will tell you all of the pages on your website. So you get every page view is now displayed for you to have a look at. So they're linked from most popular to least popular. So it'll tell you your most popular page, and generally it's going to be your menu or your home page. The next one is content drill down, and that gives you the page, the number of times it's been unique page views, time on that page, bounce rate, and percentage exit. The exit, that's when that was the last page that they've looked at, or they've gone to another page. The one after that is critical, I think, and that is landing pages. This is where are people finding your website from? So, and once again, linked by the number of views. So you can have a look at all of the sessions, and there they are linked from the order of popularity as a landing page. So this is their first experience with your website. Now, it's probably going to be your landing page unless your menu's really popular or you've run a campaign to a landing page for that campaign. So in the vegetarian one that we were talking about, if you had a lot of people who were looking for a vegetarian restaurant, more so than they were looking for your restaurant, you might get more traffic there. If you ran a Facebook campaign to your vegetarian page, that's why it might be up the top. You might find, or it might have been an email campaign. So this is where you're starting to see, because the landing page, that's really important. You want to see where people are landing on your website. This is also really interesting. We get a lot of people who say, oh, you know, and we've got a blog that's being run. It's like, oh, fantastic. Now, we actually recommend blogs for a couple of reasons. Firstly, who's going to do the blog? The restaurant owner, the chef. You know what? They're probably running the restaurant. So they're not going to have time for it. As far as that goes, I think there's much better content creation ideas that you can do rather than doing a blog. So you haven't got the time to do a blog, okay, but you want a blog. What are you going to do? You're going to get someone to write your blog. Okay, who's going to write that blog? And it'll be someone who's probably offshore. Not that there's anything wrong with offshore, because we've got a strong offshore team, but they don't know anything about your restaurant. And we see generally a lot of restaurants will be, 10 favorite Indian recipes. So there's a really big difference here between what I'm looking for, which is an Indian restaurant to eat at, and an Indian recipe. What are you saying? I should cook it myself? When you look at Google Analytics for the restaurant blogs, generally, as a landing page, you get very little traction there. So very few times are people actually finding the blog page. When they do, they'll often click away from it because it's not what they're looking for. If they're looking for a restaurant, then they're not looking for the blog. If they're looking for an Indian recipe, then they're never going to come to your restaurant. So it's very hard to write content unless you're an important restaurateur and you're writing about the restaurant industry or something like that. It's hard to come up with a story about why you would want to have a blog. I think, you know what, if you've got time to create content, fantastic. That's really exciting. Let's create the best niche pages that we can do. Let's have 10 niches that we're going to target and let's create content around those because they're the ones that are going to pay the bills. They're the ones that are going to get the customers in and they're the ones that are going to sell the customers and get them to make a booking or do an order. Okay, that's the really important thing. We see that in blogs with bounce rates. They look at it and go, this isn't what I looked for. And the bounce rate's really high. The next one down is the site speed. And this is critical. You need to be serving up your pages really, really, really quickly. And what this will do is this will give you the average load time in seconds, average redirection time. If you've got redirects on, you shouldn't probably need that. Domain lookup, server connection time, server response time, and download time. It'll also give you a breakdown of page speed by browser, which is also quite interesting. You can get it by country as well. Once again, it's probably not important for you because of the fact that most of your traffic is going to be from the one country. It's going to give you page timing. So are there specific pages that are creating problems? And we find this all the time. There'll be people, some boffin will have gone and put a 7 meg file on a page, and then all of a sudden it's taking forever for that page to download. Google will start penalizing that page. So it's really important that you start looking at those sort of things. Also, speed suggestions. There can be gold in here. You want to be working on speed. And this is one of the things that we do as part of our quarterly review. For each of our customers, we go through and just have a look at the website and see if there's anything we can do. Always looking for speed suggestions. Now, if you don't have Google Analytics installed or you don't have to be using Google Analytics to get these sort of recommendations, you can get them from the Google Page Speed Insights page. And I'll include a link for that as well. And so as I look at the recommendations for this, it's got a selection, and because there's a lot of traffic here, it's not going through all of the website. but it's got a page, the number of times it's been viewed, the average load time, and then a series of recommendations. And that, it might be eliminate render blocking JavaScript, leverage browser caching, enable compression, prioritize visible content, optimize images, reduce server response time, minify JavaScript, minify CSS, minify HTML. Now, I know what some of those things mean. Some of it's a bit gobbledygook. That's what our website developers do on a daily basis. They'll be going through, and I see messages in Slack all the time. Yep, we've page load time by 3 seconds. We're starting to introduce this as a service for other people's websites as well, where we'll go through and just sort of tune them up. Page speed makes a big difference for user experience, and user experience is a really big thing that Google tracks relentlessly. That's why they started putting websites that load quickly higher in the rankings. And this is why it's one of those things that you really got to have to think about when it comes to your website. And the sad thing is, it's each and every page, and it's one of those things you've got to be going back and having a look at, which is really quite annoying. But you have to do it. And there's big wins to be had there. So that's pretty much it. That tells you what Google is seeing from the people who visit your website. But the number one report that I'd like to see Google produce, but they're never going to because it would be really difficult to do. And that is, who are the people that are searching for your product but not finding you? What is it that's going on there? I want to end up on the secret to SEO for your website. And that is, what is the problem that you solve? And if I had that problem, what would I type into Google? So let's have a think about that. And the big one, we'll go back to our vegetarian option here. The only thing that they'll do to say that they've got a vegetarian offering is they'll put V there. Now, Google doesn't know that on a menu, V means vegetarian. And on top of that, when I see V in a menu, it's like, how many Vs are there? There's a few. Are you really committed to vegetarian? Not thinking that. Which is sad because we work with vegetarian restaurants where they've said, this is our big thing. And the word vegetarian is mentioned there so infrequently that they're not ranking for it. So I'm going to be looking for vegetarian restaurant Frankston. And that was the search that we did before. Is that on your website? Are you targeting that? Have you got your Google Places set up? Because Google Places really, that anchors you in the world. Google now knows where your business is, and Google knows where I am when I'm searching a lot of the time. So it can put 2 and 2 together. Well, James is here, vegetarian restaurant there. These two should get together. What are the niches in your restaurant? What are the problems that you solve? So kid-friendly, family-friendly, is that on the website? Because too frequently it's not, and people are missing out on that. Gluten-free is a big one as well. They'll put a GF on the menu. What's that mean? Because GF pretty sure means girlfriend. That doesn't make sense on the menu. Best practice is to have a properly formatted page with all of the SEO that you need in there, the HTML tags written up, your tab, all of that sort of stuff done, and then some text around it. So hero image, this is our gluten-free offering, the one gluten-free meal that is most likely to make people want to commit, and then tell that story. So we've been cooking gluten-free food for the last 15 years because my wife was diagnosed with celiac disease 10 years ago, and we've really struggled when we go out because I wanted her to enjoy going out to a restaurant just as much as me, and we often struggle with that. I don't want people to come here and struggle with their selection of gluten-free. So that's why we've made sure that we've got some really exciting and interesting gluten-free menus on the menu. Not only that, we're really committed to our gluten-free, to looking after our celiac disease customers, which is why we've got a separate area of the kitchen that's cooked. We don't do any cooking with any flour that's likely to get into the air and contaminate. These are the steps that we take to make sure. Now, you put that hero image there and you tell that story, and gluten-free people are going to fall in love with you because they know the horror of going to a restaurant and not having a gluten-free menu, or worse, having food that's been contaminated. So, great image, great story, great SEO. I've just picked up a new gluten-free customer. And it's amazing the number of times that people they may have a gluten-free page, or they'll be a gluten-free restaurant, but they're not getting any of that gluten-free traffic in there. And these are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about. So definitely have a think about it, because this is some of the stuff that we're starting to do, the tune-ups for people's websites. So we'll go in, conduct our marketing interview and then make some changes to it so that it's your story that gets told. What Google is trying to do at the heart of it, and like, you know, we spend so much time agonizing about that. We've got dedicated SEO specialists because, in fact, I went to Google's headquarters in Mountain View and sat down with their search and their maps team. Maps is really important, people, to work out the best way that we could represent our customers and present the problems that are solved to Google's customers who've got those problems. A lot of the time, it's just about giving your story a fair airing in Google's search platform. The customers are then going to decide. Google spends billions of dollars on making sure that they are answering these questions as well as possible. If you are a great gluten-free restaurant, or you're a restaurant that's got great gluten-free options, if Google knows that, it will want to refer people to that. If it sees that people who go to your website once and then go to it 3 or 4 more times, they bounce each time, but maybe they're making that booking, or maybe they're just getting the phone number, they're going to go, you know what? People aren't stupid. They're not going to click on that website 5 times and then bounce away. They're going to say, you know what? This is this guy's gluten-free restaurant. So we should be referring that to more people. That's the heart of it. That is the secret of SEO. I mean, people make it so difficult. They always make this crazy thing about how difficult it is to do SEO. Sure, some of the technical SEO is really quite difficult, but at the heart of it is making sure that you've got a story that's worth telling to people who've got a problem. And that is the bit that is missed so often. And we've got customers who've spent $20,000 on SEO, and you think, you're SEOing the wrong words. And they go, no one asked us what words to SEO. It's like, yep, it happens all the time. So hopefully our little delving into Google Analytics will really have given you some really cool ideas about how you can better do SEO for your website, understand the performance of your website, and get some real insights out of how your website's performing by looking at Google Analytics. One quick thing, if you're in our platform, then of course you get the comparative analytics. So we'll compare you against other restaurant websites and tell you exactly how well you're performing, you know, whether in the top 10% for not only web metrics, but also a range of social media metrics as well. So that can be really quite important. And the other thing in our platform is someone at least every 90 days is going over it and going, hey, these guys are doing well, or let's tweak a few things here. I think that's really important as well, because everything changes. It's changing all the time. It's changing at a really quick pace. So Google brings out changes to their algorithms, so do Facebook. There's lots of things to be continually on top of, and we're making sure that our team are on top of that for our customers. That's about it. You have a glorious week. Hopefully it's really busy for you, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.